Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be testing out these Injora Rock Terrain tires. These are the new 64mm tire, which are technically about a millimeter shorter than the comp pins, but you could have fooled me. I mean, when it comes down to it, 1mm, even at this size, isn't much. And these are quite a bit wider than the pin tires are. These tires are in Injora's new S5 compound, where the pins are the S4. So it'll be interesting to see how those compare once I get the pins tested. Today we are just testing these, and to put them on a level playing field, I've got a little bit of work to do. We need to get them mounted up on the same wheels on Frogger over here, completely unmodified, and will remain that way throughout the course of this testing, and also clean them up, make sure they're as clean as they can be, because the rest of the tires have been clean. So some of you might have seen my previous video on the Injora mini drivers back there, and I wasn't the biggest fan of those, mostly because of their size, but I did get a different Injora driver. That's this guy right here. It's got the interchangeable tips that use the standard 1/4-inch drive, like any Impact or 1/4-inch drive handle out there. So that's pretty nice to see. But like I said, I wanted to make sure I test all these tires on an even playing field. These have been lightly run, as have every pair of tires I have tested so far. I don't test them new out of the box because I don't think that those are realistic conditions. I run around, I get them dirty like this, and then I will go clean them off, so at least they're clean. But whatever the companies put on those tires when they're fresh out of the boxes, there's no way that they're going to stay that sticky. They're going to pick up grime, they're going to pick up dirt, and then that sticky is going to wear off. So I'm doing testing as realistic conditions as you could expect to see. Now, I saw some things about people having a hard time mounting these up because they were so soft and they couldn't get the bead to set. But my experience has been not that at all. They actually went on super easily. I think I had one bead that sort of semi-fought me, but I am doing Injora wheels to Injora tires, so that might have something to do with it. Yeah, no problem, Sam. I did nothing special there. You saw how easy that went on. So I'm having no problems with that. Not to say that's what everyone's going to get, but my experience has been about that. One and done. I'll get the rest of these swapped over and we'll get back for some testing. Alrighty, and we've got them mounted up, and they are gigantic. This really gives you an idea of how big they are when you have a real body on top. It's a little bit less obvious with the cliffhanger body on it. And if you needed any more convincing, here is our stock tire. Barely covers up the rim itself underneath there. That is a hilarious difference right there. Absolutely hilarious. Looks like a smart car tire in comparison. Also, I haven't weighed them by themselves, but this whole truck definitely feels heavier with these tires on it. Makes more sense, there's a lot more rubber there, but it's noticeable just picking the truck up. So, something to keep in mind there. And let's go ahead and get into the testing. These tires are Injora's new S5 compound. This is supposed to be the stickiest compound they offer, so let's see how it compares. Let's get going on this quartz. And you can see on our quartz here, we have the results of 3 different tests averaged out. We did the same thing for the static grip test 3 times and then averaged out. I did notice the body was still rubbing on these tires even after I cut it more, so I'm just going to remove it all of the way. It's not that much weight, it shouldn't affect our results much. Let's see how this does on the wet quartz. This should be our lowest grip surface out of all of the testing surfaces. You can see it's got plenty of water on it. Drain a little bit of the extra off. And just like on the dry testing, we did it 3 times and averaged it out for both the dynamic and the static testing. Now these numbers don't mean much on their own. Let's compare that to our Injora Super Swampers. Here you can see the comparison, the Injora being in purple. Generally speaking, these mud trains look like they're going to be better performers. Let's see if that holds up true on the wood. Median got us 457 grams and 476 grams. Now let's see how that does on the wet wood, because we've seen some interesting results here. $193 grams dynamic, and 316 static. We'll see how that holds up. Let's go ahead and run through the other testing, and we'll see how it all compares together. $551 on the sandstone for the dynamic, and 496 for the static. On the wet sandstone, it earned a score of 490. And 371. Now let's see how that compares to the Injora Super Swampers. Again, the Injora Super Swampers are in purple, and the Rock Terrains are in red. Now I mentioned the strange results that we've been getting on wood. And you can actually see here, instead of gaining grip on the wet wood as it appeared to, when you feel it on this graph, you can see that I actually have decreased grip on the dry wood. If you were to draw a line for these results, generally speaking, it would be lowest on the quartz and highest on the sandstone. But on the wood, we have an outlier, and it drops down on the dry wood. That outlier actually makes more sense than the increased wet wood grip, and this is why it's good to visualize this sort of data. It gives you a lot of information, and now we understand what's going on a bit more. So the tires to beat right now are the Injora Super Swampers up here. They got a total score of 87. However, these Oster Hobby Super Swampers actually scored better in certain categories, like on the quartz and the sandstone. So let's see how these Injora Rock Terrains hold up. On the quartz, they got a score of 28.8, well outperforming everything else on the chart so far. And on the wood, it was 19.2, which interestingly is actually a worse performer than our Injora Super Swampers. And on the sandstone, we have a 19.1, again well outperforming everyone else. Our average grip in grams is 399 for a score of 40, steps above everyone else here. Now this is sort of the equalizer here, our wet percentage loss. This is the percentage of total grip lost across all of the testing surfaces, and this had an average of 14.89% of grip loss, losing at 14.9 points. So let's see how that totals up for everything. 92.2, beating our current top dog by 5.2 points. And that makes these tires the new current champion. I do have something I want to admit, and I have actually tested these tires once before, and I got a score of 194.7. I tested these on my FCX 24, which weighs significantly more than Frogger. And I just wanted to show what the relationship between grip and weight can potentially be, and how the more you weight something down, the more grip that it's going to be. I decided not to include that in this testing because as soon as you're climbing up a hill, the angle is different, therefore your downward force that affects that friction and grip is also different. So I'm just creating a baseline, and you guys can make decisions on what's going to work good for you from there. So yeah, currently these Injora Rock Terrains have a pretty decent lead over the Super Swampers. Don't forget, comment down below any of the other tires that you'd like to see me test on this channel, and stay tuned because I'm actually upgrading the test rig, but it won't debunk our existing results here. Go ahead and get subscribed to catch those next videos, and hit the bell so you can be the first to know what the new best tire is. I'll catch you guys in the next one.